the only thing that has kept the train on the tracks is my faith, my belief in myself, in what we're doing, in the music that we're making to impact the community around us.
The genuflectors wait upon their savior. The constituencies doing as they're told. You and I, we work on getting braver as we meet each other out on this road. We're looking for our answers in the morning. The morning gets its knowledge from the sun. The sun will take its wisdom from the mountain, where we'll be sleeping when this summer day is done.
Welcome, adventurers, to another edition of Character Talks, the podcast where we dive deep into the words that shape us. Today, we have an extraordinary guest, singer, songwriter, activist, and the driving force behind the Adam Ezra group, Adam Ezra. Adam's word for this episode is faith, but he brings a unique twist to it, challenging traditional ideas and inviting us to see faith in a whole new way. He shares a powerful perspective with the quote, "Darkness is a beautiful thing." It's an intriguing thought, one that reveals his resilience, his connection to people, and his belief that even in the toughest moments, there is a meaning, growth, and light to be found. Adam's journey as an independent musician is nothing short of inspiring. He spent over 20 years building a career the unconventional way, playing everywhere from bookstores to parking lots, streaming for 500 nights in a row during the pandemic, and raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for causes he believes in. His band's grassroots movement has turned into something bigger than music. It's a mission, a community, and a testament to what faith in the process, in people, and in the power of music can create. In this conversation, we'll explore how Adam's definition of faith has shaped his path, his music, and his relentless drive to connect with people in meaningful ways. Get ready for an episode that will change, inspire, maybe even dance a little bit, and leave you seeing faith and darkness in a whole new light. Let's dive in.
Welcome to another edition of Character Talks. And the really cool part of doing this podcast is that I get to meet folks that I kind of handpick, that these are folks that either have inspired me from things that they say, they inspire me of things that they do because either I haven't done them or perhaps can't do them, like our last guest with the ultra marathoner. When God made this body, he did not think ultra marathoner. And there are folks that I see that I get to visit and attend different events. And our guest this week, Adam Ezra, is one of those that I've been following his music for a long time. There's not a day goes by that in my office here on the coast of Maine that his music is not playing in the background. And so I just reached out because he has a talent that I wish I could play music like this. I have two guitars sitting over there that do a better job of collecting dust than they do of being played at the moment. But it's on my life list, and I'm going to become a musician. So this is what prompted me, because I think Adam's going to inspire me. So Adam, welcome to an edition of Character Talks.
Thanks for having me here, Chris.
This is super fun. I can't tell you how excited you and I have been going back and forth for weeks and
I'm
months.
right down the road from you here. It's really cool. I mean, what are the odds?
I know, that was crazy to think that he was literally not 20 minutes away, and so I'm glad we made it work. So as I do with every podcast, can you kind of give us a kind of an overview of who is Adam Ezra and a little bit about you, so people can, I think, probably relate a little bit more to you?
Sure. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a guy from Boston. I am a folk musician. I consider myself a folk musician. I don't know if you hear my music, if you would think of it as folk music. But, I kind of consider Bruce Springsteen a folk musician. So, I have a strange definition, perhaps. But I've been writing songs and playing music for 20 plus years now. I started out playing in the bars in Boston without any fans and without any understanding of the music world or how to make it as a musician. Started playing with musicians that I cared about and I dug, and for many, many years we would play music, not hired to entertain, but hired to keep people drinking for 5 hours. And very slowly no fairy tale story here. One person at a time would begin to pay attention to us and share our music with others. And slowly more and more people started trickling into our shows. And these days, while we are certainly not a big famous band by any means, we get to tour around the country and play music, and we are inspired by the music that we make and this community that continues to grow around the work that we do. And so that's my story in a nutshell. I've been a New England guy since I started. That's where we play most of our shows. I started a nonprofit organization called Rally Sound, and because I believe that through music and small grassroots community, we can make impactful change in the world. And so along the way, we try to do a little of that as well.
So, like, literally in the first 3 minutes of this podcast, folks that are listening can understand why I wanted to have Adam on, because that story of giving back and doing whatever you can to impart a little bit of change in the world. His is through music, mine's through the mill. They align very close, so you guys can understand why I wanted to have Adam on. So, music,
yes,
always been a part of who you are?
Always been a big part of who I am. I grew up with a musician mama, a songwriter, and a music educator. She would, when I was growing up, she would do a lot of children's performances, and there were always folky songwriters sharing tunes in our house and hanging out with her, and it was just something that I grew up around. Didn't really get serious about playing until I was an adult. Growing up, sports was the thing that really inspired me. I played a lot of sports through high school and college, and especially in those college years, as I began really thinking about the world, traveling the world, trying to work within the world, trying to understand how people live and get by. I had this acoustic guitar, and I started teaching myself how to play it. And some people write in a journal or a diary, or some people take pictures. I started writing songs, and when it was time to become an adult, quote unquote, out in the world, I thought to myself, you know what? The most real and honest part of me is this music that I'm making right now. And so that's going to be the thing that I'm going to do. And at the time, couldn't play guitar very well, didn't have very many songs, didn't have a great voice. But it's what moved me and inspired me. So that's what I did. No plan B.
And what age was that? Give ballpark.
I was graduating college. So what was that, 22, something like that? 22, 23.
I mean, that's pretty crazy to have that realization of having that impact and chasing that dream.
Yeah. I mean, I had to have a conversation with myself. I have lots of conversations with myself. But the conversation, there was a day when I decided. I was working on a dairy farm up in Canada. I wanted to understand how it was for folks that had to work very hard every single day with their hands. And so I traveled around until I found a dairy farm that was willing to hire me, and I worked there. And I was working there, and I was writing songs at night and playing the guitar. And one night I sat down and I said, you know what? This is going to be the thing that I'm, from this day on, whatever I experience in my life is going to be through music. It's going to be through the eyes and ears of a musician. It's all music, and whatever I'm feeling and thinking and experiencing, that's got to go into the music, and it's got to be the most real and honest part of me, and that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And then I haven't looked back.
Dude, I love that. It's, one of the fun parts of doing this podcast and having this little kind of niche that we have is when I ask them, that one word. And some people can come up with it quickly. other people kind of sit back and they kind of tilt their head and go, and they think about it. The one we had, Joe Christopher owns $3 Dewey's on, and
I like that bar, kid. I like that bar.
yeah. And Joe it took him 3 weeks to come up with the word that he wanted to use. And I'm like, I love when we have those inner conversations with ourselves about things, which scare a lot of people. That conversation of really looking into who you are and what defines me is a scary conversation, even though it's really ultimately not. The idea of it is. So the fact that you did that at a young age.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying. I mean, if you put your whole self out there, failure is the worst. And if you're putting your whole self out there, you're going to fail every single day. Every single day. And like the failures are crushing. To this day, 20 years later, little failures, right? Like little failures. Ticket sales are off in a place that I was really psyched about, that, you know, like thought we were on the up and up, and who knows, like for one reason or another, something happens, right? And it's bad weather or whatever, like tiny little failures like that, and big, massive failures. They're crushing. And that, sadly, doesn't really go away. And so, like, right, if you're choosing to right, like dig in whole, all in on a dream, right? You're also, to a certain extent, condemning yourself to somewhat of a bipolar existence, in that the failures are very crushing. And the opposite is the little victories are fucking inspiring. They're exciting. Yeah. And that was the choice. That was the choice that I made. I'm still living by it.
Yeah, it takes a lot. Even now, following the mill with, you know, my wife, we talk about different things, and I have to do this, and you know, like it takes kahunas to chase your own business and be willing to know that there are going to be a lot of downs, but when the ups are up, they're really fun.
And it's so easy though to like, right? It's so easy to look at, for instance, right, an artist, a musician, right, like, and have this conversation, right, and be like, wow,
right,
that's so amazing and brave, and I just don't think that way, because I got friends and peers I grew up with that, right, some chose to be accountants, and they took an easier path, right? Maybe they would have been inspired by being an artist, but they took an easier path, and guess what? They're living awesome lives, and they don't have to worry about making ends meet with their art, and they don't have crushing defeats every day, and they have families. And, you know, one of my best buddies is working out in Colorado. He works for Vail Ski Resorts now, but, you know, we would talk, and I would talk about how I wanted to impact the world. I wanted to inspire culture. And he was like, you know what? I don't. If at the end of my life, the people in my circle feel like maybe their lives are a little bit better because they knew me, I'm good with that. I'm all good with that. And he's living an awesome life, right? Like, he's living an awesome life. And so, you know, oftentimes I'm oftentimes jealous of people that play it safe, because life can be about the small moments, right?
Yep.
Life can be about being comfortable and breathing. I don't have a lot of time in my life these days to be comfortable and breathe. And that's a lot of sacrifice every single day that I still make. And so, you know, I wouldn't have it any other way, but I'm not sure I chose the path that's making me the happiest in this world.
So chase that for a second.
Yeah.
Could you imagine not doing this? And how would that affect your happiness? Like, could you just all of a sudden?
I don't know. I don't know how much I could chase this down, because, you know, I am so happy with my life, but I could see myself, right? And I'm 47 years old. I kind of came late to, I'm a father of two little girls, 6-month-old and a 2.5-year-old. And I love being a daddy, and I hate being away from them, and I have to be away from them a lot, to be on the road, to play music. I mean, that's the gig, that's the deal. And that is really, really difficult. And I guess I could picture myself coaching lacrosse, being a teacher and inspiring people. I've had some amazing experiences as a teacher and as a coach. And the impact that my coaches and a few of my teachers had on me changed my life. Would that be as rewarding? Hells yeah, probably. And I'd get to, tuck my girls in every night, you know? And so, I don't know the answer, right? I still ain't looking back, but it's complicated, right? But it's, it's easy during these podcasts and conversations, right? To put a person who's really chasing a dream up on a pedestal. But there were all kinds of dreams. There's small dreams and big dreams, and there's all kinds of ways to achieve contentment and happiness. And I certainly, even though I'm chasing this music dream and I have a pretty inspiring life right now, I still don't know if it was the best decision for my happiness. I have no idea.
Sure. Yeah, one of my mentors, dear friend Chris Doris, he's the mental toughness coach, and he has a book and an audio called All In. And it's like, in order to be successful, to many extents, you need to be all in. You mentioned it earlier. You said all in. And when you're 23, 25, 30, being all in on one thing to achieve success is great. And as you get older, all of a sudden, there are all-ins that need your attention. Family, still your career, and so you kind of have to balance all of that, and it is hard.
And
There's
I'm
no
not
question.
I just don't know. Like I am as all in as anyone I know when it comes to chasing this thing. I had a week 2 weeks ago, and you and I were joking about this because we were trying to find a window, but I had a couple shows, our first shows in Germany, which I was super excited about, like both sold out. Like, who knew we had, right? You're talking to a guy that was playing in the bars in Boston for 10 years. And suddenly there's fans in Germany that want to come out and see me. Unbelievable, right? Blows my mind, right? But I'm also a daddy. So, I took a red eye out of Boston. I landed in Germany, drove to a gig, played the gig, got a couple hours of sleep, drove 8 hours to the next gig in Germany, played the gig, got 4 hours of sleep, drove to an airport, flew back, and when I landed at 4 p.m. in Boston, I had a gig that I had load in at 6 p.m. I finished that show, and I attempted to drive 3.5 hours home so that I could wake up my little girls the next day, right? And it's tough right now. It's tough. I don't know if anyone will want to be in my shoes right now, but I do love what I do, and I'm inspired every day by it.
The thought that pops into my head while you're doing this is, if that last minute doesn't describe your character, I don't know what else would. The commitment to the music, the commitment to the folks that you play with in the band, your commitment to them to lead that life, but then at the same time, the commitment to get back so your daughters wake up to daddy in the morning. And I mean, that if that doesn't show your character, man, I don't know what else does.
Well, I don't know. I'm just going to play the devil's advocate on myself here, because I love it when people compliment me. Don't get me wrong, Chris. Right. But like, maybe it's a desperate fear of failure that's driving me so hard, right? Like, is that character? I don't know, right? But like, I'm 47 years old and I'm throwing, like, we're not at a place right now. I'm not at a place as an artist that I feel like, it's sustainable. Right. We're fighting. We're grassroots. We're still underground, right? Like, and now I got a lot on the table, right? Because I've got mouths to feed at home, and I want to be able to provide everything I want, everything my girls could ever want.
Right.
Can't do that right now.
Yeah.
Can't do that right now. So I'm living a crazy life. I don't know if there's anything different between that story and the guy that's right, doing a double shift at the auto plant in Detroit that's trying to earn a little extra money. And, it's like
Right.
you do what you can to make ends meet for your family, right?
Yeah.
Right. But anyways, it's complicated is my point. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. But that's why I go back to that conversation we had a little bit of like, what if you weren't doing it? I think part of it is, for me, I used to ask this question when I interviewed people when I was managing a very large adventure parks at Burns ropes courses. And one of the questions I would ask is, what's your greatest fear?
Yeah.
And some people could come up quickly and I could instantly tell that they were full of shit. That was just, they thought that's what I wanted to hear. Some people really took their time. And then one of the days, someone asked me, they said, well, Chris, you ask everybody about this. Well, what's your greatest fear?
Yeah.
And I said, failure. And that's why I bust my ass to make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Since then, I've now grown and I love failure. I shouldn't say I love it. I accept it because it's an opportunity for me to grow. And I love growth more than I dislike failure. I love the idea of growing and learning and being a little bit better every single day when I put my head on the pillow. And in order for that to happen, failure has to happen to some extent. It has to happen. So I've embraced failure, in many ways. And but man, it's still my greatest fear.
I mentioned this earlier, but I think about this a lot. I think that people that have the greatest impact in the world are faced with the most failure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about sometimes when I'm feeling down, low, dark, and that happens a lot, right? I think about Albert Einstein and the impact that he had on the world as a mathematician, right? And I'll bet you that he didn't wake up every single morning and say, I solved relativity.
Yeah.
He was thinking about the other stuff that he couldn't figure out.
Yeah.
Every single day, he was banging his head against the stuff that he couldn't figure out, not the stuff that he did figure out, right? And that might be the cost of trying to do great things in this world, right? Is being face to face with your failures every day.
Yeah. And appreciating the journey. Yeah, I love that. So the two questions that I told you before we got started, one of them, how do you define character?
So I'm going to give an answer, but it's not my own answer. I'm stealing it, and I don't know who it's from, but somebody once said this to me. Somebody once said, character is what you do when nobody else is watching. You've heard that before. You're nodding your head, right? And I thought, oh man, yeah, that's heady. That got me a little bit, right? Because it's different, right? When there are it's easy to do the right thing when there are lots of witnesses. It's harder when there's nobody watching.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
That's the quick answer. Because I haven't had time to germinate on the question, but I do think about that. Stuck with me. I don't know who first coined that expression.
No, I have heard that, and it's interesting. I was watching an episode of Yellowstone, and it was the horse rider, and Jimmy, the young guy, came up, and he's like, "Well, it's being a cowboy," and he had just done a show, and he looked at him, he's like, "Dude, what I just did there, that ain't cowboying. Right. That's just showing off."
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what cowboying is. Cowboying was I had a steer in the middle of a field. It's the best ride I've ever done, and not a soul was there to watch it.
Yeah.
That's cowboying. That's kind of like that's character. When you do something like that and your actions and nobody's watching, you're not doing it for anyone's benefit other than the fact you're doing it. Yeah. That's character.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's simple. That's fantastic. So let's dive into it. Your word.
My word. And I feel like, it's interesting. I feel like there are lots of words that could be my word.
Yep.
And now you asked me what my word, or you said, think about this, because I'm going to ask you what your word is. And I wrote back really quick, and it was a word that just came right to me, and it was faith. And I don't know if I took more time to think about it, if there would be another word, but I came back to it on my way over here, because I was like, oh yeah, what was that word I gave? Oh yeah, faith. And I had to think, why did I say that? And I kind of was digging into it and liking the word. It's a strange word, I think, for me to choose, because I think a lot of people connect faith with religion, and I'm not a religious person.
Mm-hmm.
But I am a person that has operated on faith my whole adult life, from that first day that I decided to be a musician, before I even really knew how to write songs or sing or play guitar. And I had faith that this was going to be the journey for me, and I was going to believe in it no matter what. And there were many, many times, continue to be many, many times, all those failures we've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And that faith is shaken. And, when it comes to musicians, for those of you listening out there, right? Musicians that, right, are out there that have survived 20 years making a living, usually they're usually at some point along the journey, something happens. Their music gets used on a TV show. Somebody points their finger at them from a record label, or a song gets put on a radio or a commercial or something, and there's a break. And sometimes people talk about a big break with musicians, right? And sometimes the break is big, and sometimes even a small-ish break can make a career. And usually, I think for most musicians to survive, it requires some kind of a break, connections or money or something lucky, or an opportunity to play at just the right spot that you get noticed in a really big way. I have not had any of those. And my story has been one of very small, very slow arithmetic growth for 20 years. It wasn't like we graduated from the bars and then started playing in theaters. We graduated to slightly bigger bars. and we're a New England band, so like, even though we're not really playing many bars around here, we get to play theaters and festivals and exciting clubs and that kind of thing, right? Like, people don't know who we are we're about to go down south for a tour, right? And so there'll be some bars down there. There'll be some theaters, but there'll still be some bars, right? Like, right. It's just, it has been a very, very, very slow ride, but it has been steady. And sometimes I feel like the only thing that has kept the train on the tracks is my faith, my belief in myself, in what we're doing, in the music that we're making to impact the community around us. My faith in this community of people that are surrounding our music that inspires me every single day. And there is something about faith and belief that is a little bit self-fulfilling. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you're around somebody that has faith in something, that faith can be contagious.
Yeah.
And I think that that's probably the only thing that's kept me from giving up, is that I've never lost that. I've never lost that faith in this mission that I'm on musically.
Yeah, they say we are a product of the 5 closest people around us. And so that was actually going to lead, that just kind of popped into my head, because one of the things I was going to talk about is that I love your definition of faith. Not a super religious guy myself. Sorry, grandfather. And I love your concept, your idea of faith, because I think that resonates with a lot of people. I think people will have something that they're chasing, that they're super passionate about, and they believe in it. But what I also think that some people can get derailed really quickly. So what is it when when you're a little bit down, and maybe you already hinted on it, when maybe that faith is wavering just a touch? What brings you back? What brings you back to where you're supposed to be?
That's a really good question. I guess I would say that I came to this early on. Again, facing failure after failure. I mean, right, like playing shows where no one came out, right? Not making any money, not having anyone out there, I felt like, that believed in me, that shared my own faith in myself, right? Like, there are dark times. There were many, many times when I felt like if I stopped doing this thing that I loved, no one would really notice. Mm-hmm. That was super sad. But I came to this place where the darkness and the sadness, I came to realize, like, that is such an important part of life and who we are. Feeling that sadness, understanding that darkness, we all have it. Some of us are really afraid to embrace it. Some of us, right, do everything we can in our lives to avoid it. And for me, I guess I have decided, I've come to this place where when the darkness is surrounding me and taking me, to remind myself that that's beautiful too. Some of the most inspiring art has come from the darkness. We all have the darkness, right? If you are an artist and you can experience the darkness, talk about the darkness, right? Share the darkness. It makes it less scary, but he connects to every single human being on this planet, because we all have that darkness. We all have the failures, right? So again, like, part of this mission for me as an artist is, right, share the joy and elation, but share the darkness. And the darkness can be the good stuff. And so that helps me when my faith is shaken, is knowing that the failures and the darkness is a really important part of greatness and success.
Yeah, and that's just a mindset. Basically, just telling yourself that's...
It's a mindset, but it's also like, right, like really feeling it.
Okay.
Not being afraid to, like, really feel it.
Yeah. Hey, it's okay to feel it. Yeah.
Dude, so important to feel the sadness. We make jokes at our shows. The community makes jokes at our shows because, like, there's crying, there's laughter. Like, it happened. Like, there was a time during COVID I was live streaming every single night. We would call it the Gathering series, and I did this for 500 nights in a row, and this community of fans would come and gather every single night. And during this time of isolation, everyone would hang every night, 7 p.m. That's where we were. And there was a joke amongst the community that it's not a gathering unless unless somebody cries at least once, right? Like, and that was it. Like, sharing the sadness was sometimes the only thing we could do.
Yeah.
And sharing that sadness made it beautiful, made it awesome, made it okay.
Oh, that's such a great point. Such a great point. Yeah, you're talking about the of faith and playing concerts where very few or not the ticket sales you thought, and my brain went to, not being a musician, is the mill. Like, I have poured my heart and soul into this project. I believe in it with every fiber of my body, and yet we're a year into it and we've had 250 downloads and only a handful of users, yet the people that are using it love it. They love the idea they can come in and share stuff and leave, come in happy and leave maybe even a little happier. But it is the grind of getting your name out there, because I'm not a Zuckerberg and I don't have $100 million investors and all that stuff, and which I've chosen not to do that because of experience with other businesses that I've had. So I'm accepting the process and knowing that will take 2, 3, 4 years. And I don't think I've shared this, but I met a woman, shared my project with her, and she just said, "Chris, I have like this warm feeling all throughout my body." And I was like, "Well, I appreciate that." And she said, "You don't know who I am?" And I said, "I don't." She goes, "Well, I used to be the marketing director for Rolling Stone magazine." And I said, "Oh." And she told me what her husband did, which was a very, very successful producer in the music industry. And she goes, "I'm telling you, you're just one person away. Like, you're one person that hears about this platform, that then just shares it with their community, and it will explode." And so, similar to you, that's why this is so awesome, is that I literally wake up every morning going, well, maybe today's the one. Maybe today's the one day I find that person, like you said.
Cheers to that.
The break, whatever it may be. And so it's, but like you, like your music, I believe in it. And I know the first episode I shared was my episode where my word was forgiveness. My dad left when I was 9. He chose alcohol over his family. At 21, I tracked him down in New Hampshire because I wanted to forgive him, not for him, but for me. And I did. And a few months later, after it aired, a friend called down in New Jersey. I was down in Long Island, and he met with him, and he said, "I want to let you know." He goes, "I just drove across the country with my dad, and we're talking. We talk all the time." And I said, "Okay," not knowing his story. He said, "Chris, I haven't spoken to my dad in 23 years, and I wouldn't have spoken to my dad if I didn't hear your podcast."
Pretty
if the
cool.
mill doesn't do anything more than that, it's kind of like, I don't think your music. I think you recognize what your music does to people, because that's what prompted me to call you. I saw you at a JJ Grey concert,
Mm-hmm.
and I resonated with your music, and your music just makes me happy. When I sit in here, I'm Adam Ezra Group Spotify.
Right.
That's the station that's playing on my, when I'm in here working. It inspires me. Now that I have had a chance to meet you and talk with you further, it's going to inspire me even more. But yeah, you just hope that what you're doing, you have that faith that what you're doing
That's it.
Is it.
And remember that for every one of those stories, that's the thing about music, right? For every one of those stories that you get, we don't get the stories from most of the impact that we've had. So
That's a great point.
there are other people out there that didn't reach out to you when your podcast reached them, or when your word reached them, or when what you're doing led to them doing something that led to something else.
Yeah.
Right? We don't hear most of those stories. We don't understand most of our impact.
Yeah. So I'm going to piggyback now on to the podcast that just released before last week, or it will probably release a few weeks before Adam's. And I was talking with Darren Shank, coach, and we talked about, as coaches, similar to musicians, you just don't you do it because you want to make a difference, and you just have that passion to make that difference. And when someone takes time, an old athlete, whatever, to come back and share and just say, thank you, because what you did, the time that you spent into me impacted my life. And I've been fortunate that that has happened a number of times for me. That I can only tell you as, if you are an athlete or a student, whether it's a teacher, a musician, or someone, take that extra time and just write an email or write a note or a phone call or go up and shake their hand and say thank you, because that's, for many people that do this type of work, that's what drives us. That's part of what wakes us up. It's part of our ikigai. And so, yeah, take that time. So I'm glad you said that, because you're right. It's fun to hear them, but man, they are few and far between sometimes. Yeah,
Totally. We take a time out so I can pee.
Yes.
Woo!
That's my bad. All right, so let's go. Sorry, Adam.
It's gonna be hard.
Yeah, I know. It may take us to a completely different direction,
Sure.
which will be cool in its own sense. So, one of the things we talk about the mill, and adventure is learning how to run this fucking Zoom. One of the things we talk about the mill is adventures, and they don't have to be big. They are what people make them out to be. So, how do you define adventure? And I'm going to throw a caveat in here because I messed up doing this recording. And we just had the most amazing session on adventure. So we're going to try to recap this and go through this again, because our thoughts on what an adventure is are similar. So Adam, once again, how do you define adventure?
Well, I was saying that, I guess for me, adventure is, right, something that sparks excitement. And sometimes that excitement can come from strange places. I mean, right, I am a guy that I get to tour all over the country these days, making music, playing in festivals. That is exciting. But the thing that is exciting me the most, I had this, a backyard in Maine near the water. A storm came in and kind of destroyed a bunch of the yard and took out a bunch of bushes. And in the wake of that, I decided I would take this little section of my yard. There's a lot of rocks on the coast of Maine. For those of you that aren't around the coast of Maine, haven't been here before, I decided that I would make a stone wall. And man, I got a thing for stone walls ever since I traveled to Ireland with my wife, and we kind of got to experience these 5,000-year-old simple little stone walls built by a little sheep herder way back in the day, whose impact is felt thousands of years after they're long gone, which, I doubt anything that we do is going to last that long, right? That. And each day, these days, when I'm home, if I've got a window, maybe it's a minute or two, maybe it's a half hour, I'll go and gather a stone wall or two and I'll add it to the wall. And that wall has been taking shape across the back of my yard. And man, that excites me so much these days. And that is it's stupid perhaps, but that is my adventure these days. And it is what is really fulfilling something inside me. And I'm not quite sure why.
And one of the other things we talked about with adventure is embarking on something where the outcome is a little uncertain.
Yeah.
Whether it's going on vacation that's well planned out, but then maybe you're visiting an area that you don't know, and then there are other folks like Isaiah Glenn Shields, a podcast guest who did Walk America, walked across the country. Now he's doing Walk Europe, so he's walking the northernmost part to the southernmost part of Europe. And I asked him, about an itinerary. He goes, "Nope, I just wake up and I start walking, and I don't know where I'm going to sleep, and I just walk until there's nothing's planned." So an adventure can be so much, and
it's easy, right? It's easy to put that guy up on a pedestal for doing that. Whoa,
yeah,
this open-ended, he's so brave. But you know what? For somebody, right? knowing exactly where their hotel's going to be, knowing exactly where they're going to eat, what sights they're going to see. They still don't know what that food is going to taste like.
Right.
They don't know how they're going to feel when they see those sights. They don't know what that hotel they spent a lot of time researching to stay at, or that little cottage that they decided to choose. They don't know, and they never would have, for them, the adventure is experiencing things that they've planned. They don't know what it's going to feel like and experience. Right? And so, again, just bringing it back around, I don't want to minimize. It's really, it's really easy, right, to, glorify somebody who is so adventurous. Adventurous, right? So brave.
Adventurous to them.
To them, right?
100%.
But everybody's definitely, it's so easy to glorify the life of a musician following your, right? We think of it as following your passion in art. And man, I wish we could all be that. But you know what? I've never met a parent that ain't passionate about their kids.
Right.
I'm a musician and a parent.
Yeah.
There's no more passion in the music than there is in being a parent. I don't have any more passion in my life than I think anyone else does, even though I've made strange decisions with my life. Maybe, but adventure for somebody, right? Adventure for some people can be, right, walking down, having the bravery to walk outside and go get a cup of coffee at the store. And someone with anxiety being able to look a person in the eye and say, thank you for the coffee is a big deal. And that's right on to them if they're able to go get that cup of coffee.
100%. Something we've talked a lot about. Yeah, adventures. When people think of adventures, they automatically think Everest or doing these crazy things. And an adventure could be just getting outside and letting the sun hit your face and sitting out there and just appreciating the warmth for just a little bit, because maybe you haven't done that. And that might lead to 7 minutes outside the next day. And then maybe a week later, you might go for a walk up. It is. That's why adventure is a feeling. It's not.
Maybe it doesn't even have to be building towards something.
Right. It's just it.
Right. Maybe the walk out to the cup of coffee, if that's all it ever is, that doesn't have to be something that is a disappointment. Maybe that can be your adventure, and boom, that's it. If it stirs something inside of you, right? If you're facing a fear, right? Or if you're doing something that excites you, maybe it's the morning crossword puzzle. Mm-hmm. God, I'm a puzzler. I love that. For my grandma, playing a game of bridge was her adventure. Oh, I loved playing bridge with my grandma. I hope that when I am my grandma's age, I'm playing bridge, and that'll be a fine life of adventure for me.
I wish I had met you when my mom was still here. She lived down in Sprucehead.
She's a bridge player?
Loved to play bridge every week.
I would have thrown down a deck with her any day, man. Not a lot of bridge players my age.
I've never attempted the game.
It's a beautiful game, man. It's beautiful. It is a beautiful, fascinating game, and it never happens the same way twice. And, oh, man, there's so many things I wish I had more time for, and oddly enough, one of them is pretty up there on the list.
It's bridge. Wow, that's awesome. So let's end. I want to go back to your word faith, because the more I keep thinking about it as we're going, I just love the word. The definition, if we're looking at the definition is complete trust or confidence in someone or something.
That's what it says in Webster?
That is the Oxford Dictionary. The next one then has more of a religious connotation to it.
Yeah.
The first one is complete trust or confidence in someone or something.
It's interesting, because I don't think of my faith as, well, I guess, the confidence thing shook me a little bit, because I often do not feel confident. But I guess, right, you have to be confident enough to throw everything else aside and pursue a thing and not give up on it.
Yeah, I would think you'd have to be confident to do what you do.
Yeah, ironically, there are so many artists out there that they are not confident people.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I have moments.
Yeah.
I have moments where I feel like it's all clicking and I feel superhuman and confident. But those are few and far between. But I still have faith that this is the path that I'm going to be walking. And I got no regrets at the end of the day.
That ultimately is what it's all about.
I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Adam, again, it's the process for this to happen was.
We got there.
We had some patience,
got there.
But we made it work. And man, it's been an absolute pleasure to meet face to face. Again, you're one of the guys that make my day better when I get to listen to your music. So I know I've said it, but I really want to make sure I push that because I think that's important. It does impact me, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm so thankful for. I think you performing at the JJ concert was a last minute decision down there. So I'm so glad. The universe works in crazy, crazy ways, and I'm so glad it did. But
well, Chris,
I appreciate you taking the time this morning and coming in and adding a little character, a little adventure.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for the sincerity of your mission. It seems really like you are a fella of faith as well, and the mission for you is to create something out there in the world that is going to impact people positively. And man, this world needs that these days. So thank you for that. It's an honor to be here.
That was an incredible conversation with Adam Ezra. I can only tell you and try to share what it was like to sit in the room with Adam. The conversation was incredibly intense at times and really, really fun. His perspective on faith and the idea that darkness is a beautiful thing gives us all something to reflect on. Adam, thank you for sharing your story, your journey, your music, and your unwavering belief in the power of connection. Your journey is a true testament to what faith in the process and in people can create. Of course, a huge thank you to all of you, our listeners, for being part of this journey with us. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love for you to like, follow, and share Character Talks with your friends. Your support helps us continue bringing you inspiring conversations like this one. And if you're looking for even more adventure and inspiration, don't forget to subscribe. It's free to the Roots to Peaks newsletter. Every 2 weeks, we bring you stories, adventures, discounts, and so much more to help you experience growth through adventure. Until next time, keep seeking, keep growing, and keep embracing the adventure. See you soon.
And our footsteps, they pound with a rhythm, and it feels like it's all meant to be. And I can't help but live for the light that stumbles out of me. We'll wake up with our hair and bodies tangled in a kingdom that will never know our name. Our breath will be a fire that is burning, and I'll kiss you 'cause we're born from love and flame. So look at me, you know we are each other. Smile 'cause it's the most that you can give. And if I die tomorrow, find another, and I promise that I'll love you while I live. And we hold tight 'cause our planet is spinning so fast that it blurs what we see. And I can't help but live for the light that stumbles out of me.